torches back if you like, because I probably need them for my torch later.
All right, okay.
You can try to keep
Squeal
it
if you
lighter.
need them.
All right, yeah. So this is called Chargi, and Chargi is the sister of the sun. Yowie, you may remember John pointed out, is the Boorong name for the sun. And the Boorong people believe that the earth began as a featureless plain. And so the earth was basically in darkness. And Paparimple came along, a little bird, and had a prepared emu's egg and cast it in the sky, and this emu's egg became the sun. Paparimple was part of a group of the original creator beings, if you like, called the Nuttumbungutjas. And the Nuttumbungutjas basically means old spirits. So they were the first ones to inhabit the earth at a place like this, and eventually they exchanged the lower realm, if you like, for the higher realm. And it's a very common theme with Aboriginal cultures that people start off on the earth and they exchange the lower realm for the higher realm. And with some Aboriginal cultures, clever men, the medicine men, were actually able to walk up into the sky and become a star, or talk to the people in the sky. It's often just seen as an extension of the land, which is a common theme. Now, Chargi was married to, I'm going to get you to face the other way now, to this object here. And this object is the planet Jupiter. And Jupiter is looking really nice and bright. Now, when you look at that object, I want to impress upon you how large Jupiter is. Jupiter is a Jovian world. That means that it is a gas giant planet. And by volume, we could squeeze 1,318 Earths into Jupiter. It's such an incredibly large world. It is the fourth brightest object in the sky. The first, of course, being the sun, then the moon, then Venus, which is looking a little bit dull because it's low on the horizon, and then Jupiter. Jupiter at the moment is in opposition. That means it is opposite us and the sun, so it's in the sky all night, and it's at the best time for us to see it. And it's quite close to the Earth as well. It sits 778 million kilometres away from the sun. I think I told Kev I was going to talk for 20 minutes, and I've probably gone past that, so I apologise. Venus, or Chargi, was married to this planet here, which is called Jinnabongbir. So, as John mentioned earlier, there is a connection. There are kinships and marriages and so on that are reflected by many Aboriginal cultures in the sky. So, tonight, please wander down. There are a number of telescopes further down the road, and have a look at Jupiter in the night sky, because it's a magnificent planet to have a look at. And you'll probably see what appears to be 4 tiny stars, and they're actually what we call the Galilean moons. Jupiter now has an official count of 63 moons. 4 large moons which were discovered, if you like, by the Italian astronomer Galileo, first seen in 1609, December 1609. But you can pick them up even with a pair of binoculars, so they're quite easy to detect. Coming up low on the horizon now too is that square shape there. So that square shape, this is known as the Great Square of Pegasus. And Pegasus is the winged horse of mythology. Pegasus is nice because Pegasus we see the right way up, because the vast majority of the constellations were created in the northern hemisphere. Consequently, seeing many of them from the south, not only do we have to use our imaginations, but we have to imagine the shape upside down, if you like. Now, Pegasus the nose is marked by that star there, the eye, the neck comes down through these stars, the back is between these 2 stars, front leg down here, belly would be here, and the back leg comes down to this star here. Now, these stars are called Markab, Sheet, Algonib and Alpha Rats. I'm not going through all of the star names with you tonight because there are just too many and we'd take ages to go through them as well. But this is the Great Square of Pegasus. Now I know when Pegasus comes up that getting very close we'll have the Pleiades, the 7 sisters, which as John told you earlier today are the Lana Kruk, the women who are beating on the possum skin drums. We'll have the bright star Warrapil, the wedge-tailed eagle, which is the star we call Sirius. And also very close, in fact it's just starting to come up now, you'll see there's a bright star on the horizon there. That star is called Canopus. Now Canopus is the second brightest star in the sky after the star Sirius, not including the sun of course. And the Boron people call this star War. Now you'll see it often written as War, W-A-R, but we believe it was pronounced like Wah, Wah, like the crow noise would make. And crows in general in Aboriginal cultures are very important because they were the creatures that brought fire down to the people on the earth. And fire was incredibly important. I mean, you need fire. Imagine living out here by yourselves without all these warm jackets. You need a warm fire. You need fire to cook food and so on. So fire was something that was incredibly important. And Wa is the brother-in-law of, I beg your pardon, the brother, isn't it, John, of Warrapil?
Yeah.
The brother of Warrapil in the sky as well. Any questions at this point? There's no snoring, so that's normally a good sign. I usually, in the planetarium in Adelaide, I always get one snorer. And invariably it's someone that snores very loud.
It must be warm.
But it's warmer, I think, Norma, you're right. But it's quite cold out here, so it's good, it keeps you guys awake.
We won't mention his name because I'm recording.
He's here, is he?
No, but I'm recording.
I neglected to mention over here, if we come away from the nose of the horse here, and this star is called Al-Anif, which comes from the Arabic meaning the nose. If we come off to the left, we've got a little shape just in there. Now this is a constellation called Delphinus the dolphin, and it's a lovely dolphin, a mammal sitting up there in the sky, and you'll see the shape there, there's a diamond shape just there, and the tail comes up like that.
Oh God, it's optical.
Can you see that just there?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Now it's very common along the Murray, and particularly with groups like the Nuttunjetty, this is called Otchakut. And sometimes they relate it, they give it the name Pondy the fish as well. And certainly William Stanbridge recorded that this was the Murray cod in the sky. So we've got, I can't say fishes because one's a mammal, but we've certainly got aquatic creatures in this region of sky. So this is the Borong Otchakut in the sky here as well. If we come across the sky, we've got a reasonably bright star there. Is this laser okay back there now? I think, where's Alex? Thank you, Alex. It's the warmth thing. That's amazing. The what appears to be the warmth thing. This star is called Altair, and Altair is in a constellation called Aquila the Eagle. Guys, just let me know if I talk for too long, because I'll talk for ages. The Aquila the Eagle is the eagle in mythology that carried the thunderbolts for Zeus, and in the case of the Romans, Jupiter. Altair is a reasonably close star at 17 light years away. So that means the light you're now seeing from that star left there about 17 years ago. Now, the Borong people call this star Tochigul. Do you pronounce it Tochigul or Tochagul, John? Tochigul, you say Tochigul? The star Tochigul in the sky. And the stars either side are his wives in the sky there as well. And you'll see there two stars just either side there. The shape of Aquila the Eagle, the wingspan comes across like that. Wingtip to wingtip. And the beak and the body come through there. Can you see that shape? Now the Americans for some reason draw that as the head. But this isn't the head because this star here is called Denabelokab, which means the tail of the eagle. And when I told them that, they weren't impressed because they'd been drawing it all wrong. And they still draw it wrong. But if we look at the classical charts, that's the way the eagle is kind of orientated in the sky. Altair, I think I mentioned, is 17 light years away. This is also a very rapidly spinning star. It spins in about, I think it's about 6 hours or so. That means that the polar diameter would be sort of flattened like that, spinning very, very rapidly. Now, Tochigul, incidentally, threw a boomerang at one stage, and that boomerang is called Wan. And the boomerang is just up there. See the boomerang shape? Now, this is a very faint constellation called Corona Australis. Now, I should point out that William Stanbridge, there are two constellations with the name Corona in them. Corona Borealis, Corona Australis. William Stanbridge just wrote Corona, so we're not 100% sure which one he was referring to. The reason I think it's this one is because looking at other Aboriginal groups in Victoria, like the Wotjobaluk and other groups, they usually refer to Corona Australis. And I believe, John, you believe it's the same, Corona Australis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Tochigul's throwing it at his mother-in-law.
He's throwing it at his mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Can't blame him for that.
Yeredet Karuk up here.
Yeah.
Now this is the star, as John just mentioned, Yeredet Karuk, which is a... now remember, John mentioned today Karuk is a suffix which means female, so we know it's relating to a female. And Yeredet Karuk is the mother-in-law of Tochigul in the sky. John, did you want to make a comment about that? No?
You're going very well.
Oh. The
Owl at nightjar.
yeah, the owl at nightjar, absolutely. Now so Yeredet Karuk is sitting up there, and the star Akinar means the end of the river, because it's in a very large constellation. I believe it's the sixth largest in size in area, known as Eridanus, which is the river in the sky. Now the Burong call the band of the Milky Way Warring, all right, and it's basically seen as the smoke from the Nuttumbungutchas, so the old spirits that lived in this area, or maybe still live in this area. This is the smoke from their fires in the sky. This is not uncommon with lots of cultures. I want to give you another example. The Lakota Sioux people that come from North America, they believe that when you died, you journeyed across the sky, and the stars we see through the band of the Milky Way are their campfires, and the glow we see from the Milky Way is the smoke coming from their campfires. So that's an almost identical type of concept, a way of looking at the night sky there. All right, let's just have a look over here now. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention also about Tochigul there, or the star Altair, is one of the very well-known creator beings through Victoria is Bunjil. Bunjil takes over a pretty big hunk of area, and Bunjil is in the form of a wedge-tailed eagle. Particularly around, if you come from Melbourne or Geelong, Bunjil is the creator being from that region. In fact, he takes in such a big region, he also creeps into South Australia, into the lands of the Boandic people in Mount Gambier there as well. And New South Wales. Yes, thank you. And New South Wales as well. He creeps up into New South Wales until we get up to around Sydney, and then we've got Biami basically as the creator being. But keep in mind that each group is different, and they all have different ways of looking at the night sky. Sometimes it's kind of polytheistic, there are many creators, and sometimes they may have one creator being. But Bunjil is an important one to point out just there, which is that star there. Now, like Tochigul, the stars either side are the wives of Bunjil, and their names are Kunawara, and they were seen as two black swans in the sky as well.